The View often ends up talking about hot button political topics, and today I'm going to be talking about Whoopi Goldberg talking about the current administration, and she slammed the other president, in quotes, saying Dick Cheney has nothing on Steve Bannon. So here's what Raw Story says, and I want to discuss this with you guys because it is a matter that is superbly important that I have to talk about, I have to rant about. In a discussion about President Donald Trump's first 40 days in office, The View women slammed Trump for his recent string of bizarre behavior. Maybe it's the other president's fault, Whoopi Goldberg said, citing Trump's senior aide Steve Bannon. So Bannon does affect a lot of what he says. We've heard inner reports of it, and it's just pretty obvious. Steve Bannon is like a real racist, and you can clearly see through Trump's executive orders. But there's no doubt that Dick Cheney was a huge proponent in the Bush administration because we know that Cheney is smarter manipulation-wise than Bush is. Bush is just a dumb cat. Like, he's not that smart, right? So you know that, like, so when people go like, hey, 9/11 was an inside job, it's like, then you're practically saying that Bush is probably one of the mastermind, smartest people on the planet to be able to get that done. But anyways, here we go. The equivalent to Bannon, I think, was Dick Cheney in a way, co-host Joy Behar said, but her fellow co-hosts disagreed. No, Dick Cheney is nothing compared to what this President Bannon is, Goldberg said. This Bannon cat is a whole other kettle of stinky fish. The woman also discussed President George W. Bush's recent press tour denouncing many of Trump's policies. For 8 years, George W. Bush said not one word about Obama, Bayar noted. This guy is in 40 days, and the previous president has had to speak out. The question is, what other presidents are going to get on board? Okay, no. Stop it. Stop trying to heroize Dick Cheney. Look, okay, at least, like, you can't even make this argument. First of all, I'm going to tell you, the evilness of the Bush administration was uncharted, okay? Not only were there massive tax cuts for the rich, but the people were so manipulated after 9/11. The towers went down on his watch. He goes into Iraq knowing it wasn't Saddam Hussein because he knew that he was going to make a ton of money. Oh, Dick Cheney's, he was the former CEO of Halliburton. Whoa, Halliburton makes $39.2 billion from the Iraq War? Holy crap, what a coincidence. What a great coincidence, right? It's like all of a sudden the government just gives a ton of contracts to Halliburton. I wonder why. It must be a coincidence, right? No, that's total bullshit, okay? So it's bullshit. So this idea that someone who is a huge proponent of sending our troops in, how many thousand died? Was it 6,000? Was it 5,000? American troops died. Our country's in massive debt. I believe the Afghanistan and Iraq war is going to amount to $1 trillion. Imagine how much world hunger we could have solved with that much money. How many innocent Iraqis have died? The number is vastly different, but I think you would safely say about 40 to 60,000. However, I think they ranged to over 100,000. And if you think about it, I would definitely say more than 100,000. Because if you invade a country that hasn't attacked you, you're basically just killing everyone who's a freedom fighter. So who's the one, if you're fighting occupation, who is the real bad guy? You go into a country that has not attacked you. They suspend all of the electricians, all these guys. You have no services. You don't know what's going on. And now you want to go and revolt because they came into your land and they're taking over. Occupation, who's the real freedom fighter? Who's the one fighting for freedom? Who's being treated as a liberator? Okay? It's not the Americans, I'm sorry. But this idea that Dick Cheney, the guy who's a proponent of thousands of American soldiers dying under false pretenses that Saddam Hussein did 9/11, Saddam Hussein had WMD, Saddam Hussein's a bad guy. Okay, the last one is true, but that's irrelevant, really. And this, 100,000 Iraqi civilians dead. ISIS was literally formed out of that war. That is not debatable. They were created, not directly by them, but their actions created that. It led to the creation of ISIS and the power of ISIS. We wouldn't have the Syrian refugee crisis if it wasn't for them. So all of these different things. Syrian refugee crisis happens. Thousands of American soldiers die. Hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians die. Trillions of dollars in debt from these wars. I mean, It's unbelievable, the idea that he did it for personal gain. You're telling me Steve Bannon, who can't even dress, the dude looks uglier than a hag. I mean, the guy that can't even dress. He looks like, have you seen his picture? He's got like this crazy, he looks like he's dead, dude. He looks like he's high or like hasn't got any sleep or like, I don't even know, maybe a mix. You're telling me that guy is worse than Dick Cheney? Darth Vader himself. Oh man, you guys are way too neoliberal. This is the problem with neoliberalism, and I fucking hate neoliberalism. I hate it with my guts. I hate neoliberalism, okay? And here's the thing, okay? Here's what I have to say. Don't forget, who were a bunch of people in Florida who were purged off of voter rolls in order to cheat Bush the election? African Americans. You can see it on the House of Representatives floor, the Senate floor, where House of Representative after representative came up and they said, hey, these thousands of African American voters were purged off of the voter rolls. Their votes were disappeared to get him the win. Who was it? It was African American. So this idea that George Bush, he's a good guy, man. He's a real good guy. No, you piece of shit. Dick Cheney is unbelievably worse than Steve Bannon. And until they decide, hey, we're going to invade a country on false pretenses and solely for our personal gain and financial gain and natural resources gain that will lead to massive soldiers dying under false pretenses that could have survived and not died if we hadn't gone to war, hundreds of thousands of civilians in other countries dying, forcing occupation, which is illegal. I mean, putting our country into debt, it's unbelievable and it bothers me so much.